Hey everybody, welcome back to the Consumer Warrior Podcast. The podcast is dedicated to helping you with your big debt problems. If you're just dabbling in debt, this isn't the podcast for you. We deal with the big debt problems like repossession, debt collection lawsuits, foreclosure, bankruptcy, and all those other horrible financial problems that are out there. We're here to help you to help yourself. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, John Skiba. I am a consumer protection attorney in the state of Arizona. And in today's episode of the podcast, I want to continue on a kind of a little mini-series I've been doing on myths that are found in this book, The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Now, he provides a lot of debt myths that people believe that he tries to debunk in the book. And one of those has to deal with whether you should pull money out of your house to pay off consumer debt, like a home equity line of credit, a second mortgage, refinance, whatever it is. So I'm going to address whether I think that's a good idea, and we'll go over Dave's answer as well. But before I do that, I want to thank our sponsor for today's show, which is the Consumer Warrior Project. If you are dealing with some of these serious debt problems I just talked about, like repossession, debt collection lawsuits, foreclosure, bankruptcy, and you just don't know what to do, which is a huge problem I see in my law practice all the time, is that people don't take action because they don't know what to do. That's where the Consumer Warrior Project comes in. It provides you with informational tutorials, templates, forms, everything that you need to really to navigate the different court systems and be able to find a resolution to your debt problem. You can find all of that over at legal.coach. That's the actual website, www.legal.coach. Go over there, check out those resources and what they can do to help you with your debt problem. Okay, so let's jump into the debt myth for today, which is actually found on page 46 of the book. Here, Dave says, the myth is that borrowing more than my home's value is wise because I'll restructure my debt. He says the truth is that you're stuck in the house, which is really dumb. Well, let me tell you my take on this, why I'm in agreement with Dave Ramsey as to this particular debt myth. And that the reason why I am is because here's how I see this play out, particularly in Arizona where I live. Back in the Great Recession, 2008 through 2012 timeframe, what I saw a lot of people doing is, home values were going up. And so they were pulling the equity out of their home in the form of a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, or a second mortgage, which is really what a HELOC is, or even just refinancing their house and pulling some cash out at the closing, and then using that cash to pay off consumer debt, medical bills, credit cards, mostly credit cards, that kind of thing. So the reason why that's a bad idea is because there's a fundamental misunderstanding of the difference between secured debt and unsecured debt. Now, I know on its face, people are thinking, hey, this will be great. I'll be able to consolidate everything into one payment. Usually, payments on a mortgage are lower. The interest rate's lower because of the payments are lower because of the interest rate. And so people are looking at it saying, look, this is good. I'm not paying 6 different credit cards. I'm not paying 20% interest. I'm paying one payment, and the interest rate is 6% or 8% or whatever it is. Well, the issue with that is that you are taking an unsecured debt, which is what credit cards are, which is what medical bills are. There's no collateral. There's no property attached to those particular types of debts. You're taking an unsecured debt and you're turning it into a secured debt, which secured debts are things like mortgages, car loans, anything that has property or collateral, attached to that loan. And the reason why this is problematic is because if you don't pay your credit cards, what's going to happen is you will be subject to collections, your credit score will go down, but they won't be able to take anything from you, at least not until they sue you and go through the whole court process, get a judgment, know where you work, and then they can try to garnish your wages. That's years down the road, and in some cases won't happen at all. You'll have a damaged credit score, but they won't be able to take anything from you. So what you've done is you've turned this unsecured debt where they can't take anything and transformed it into a secured debt where if you don't pay secured debts, what happens? If you have a mortgage, they foreclose on your house. If you have a car, they repossess the car because you didn't make the payment. So you've turned your unsecured debt into secured debt. And now if you don't make those payments, which were your credit cards, they can take your home. And they will do that. And the sad thing is, and the scary thing is a bit, is I'm starting to see this cycle again, particularly here in Arizona. because we've kind of gotten through the recession. The housing market has been rebounding, and here in Arizona, we're seeing the housing prices start to go up, and we're starting to see people, little bidding wars go on for houses, and starting to see a lot of these HELOCs and the refinances, and people pulling cash out. And I talk to other bankruptcy attorneys. I'm like, we've seen this story before. we know how this plays out. Because we're seeing the exact same behaviors we saw, just 10 years ago that kind of led to all of this. It's kind of funny how easily we can forget, what led to that big financial crisis. So I agree with Dave Ramsey on this, that it is a myth that it's a good idea to pull money out of your house to pay off credit cards. Just get the credit cards paid for. Do the debt snowball like he's talking about. There's other options available. Even if that other option is a bankruptcy, which will eliminate it completely. Secured debts in bankruptcy you can generally keep as long as you're making the payments. You can keep the house and keep just making the car payment. You can keep the car, keep the house, get rid of the credit card debt. You can do that in a bankruptcy, or just do like the debt snowball, like Dave Ramsey talks about, in getting those credit cards paid down. But don't turn your unsecured debt into secured debt. That will cause you problems and put your home in danger for those purchases you made on a credit card years ago. So that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. I appreciate you listening in. Just so you know, if you listen to this podcast in iTunes, I actually have a YouTube channel as well. You can go over there and just search in YouTube for the Consumer Warrior Project, and you can see videos of this. And vice versa, if you're listening to this on YouTube or on my website via video, you can subscribe in iTunes, you can subscribe in Stitcher, and listen to this on the go as well. So once again, I want to thank our sponsor for today's episode, which is the Consumer Warrior Project. Go over there and check out those online tutorials, step-by-step process on how to deal with everything from debt collection lawsuits to bankruptcy to debt settlement. Some very valuable resources there, as well as some templates and forms that'll really help you out. So that's going to do it for this episode, and we will catch you next time.